Hey, I'm here with Alu at ESWC 2015.
It went wrong right away. I'm not Alu.
Can we keep that in? Yeah. Hey, I'm here with Natu at ESWC 2015. Played with Alu. Played with Stande, some good talent. And I guess that leads us into talking about you as a player. So I know 3D Max is an org, just kind of the org kind of died, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was that a matter of not having the results that the team wanted, or was it a matter of the org just not being able to sustain itself for its own problems?
Well, it was mostly the fact that CSGO was getting really big, and so the needs of the players became bigger. And the thing with 3D Max was that the organization was a hobby for the people that ran it, and it became overwhelming for them. Like, they had to spend so much time working on it while it was not the thing that was their main job. So
Right.
basically, that was the main reason why 3D Max's organization died.
Do you think that happens with a lot of players, depending on the country? Like TSM, for example, all those players are in school. They're trying to balance like a real life with playing. Do you think that really interferes with a team's ability to succeed?
Yeah, to an extent, of course. I mean, there's so many teams right now that are able to put full time into playing. So when you're not able to, it's always going to be time off of preparing and playing the game, which CSGO is in a state where it's a lot about individuals and like finding an individual peak and things like that. So
Yeah.
well, the less time people have playing, that's going to be a problem.
Would you say CS:GO is more individualistic than CS is in the past?
I think CS 1.6 went towards being a very individual skill-based game towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
CSGO was more tactical initially, but it's more and more going towards very simplistic style of play where individuals really dictate whatever happens on the, like, there's certain plays you do, certain strategies you do, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the individual and their instinct that really makes a difference.
Right. Now NiP is a team that you coach, obviously. You've been doing that for a while. When NiP first started out, they were a team that played very loose, right? And they still continue to do that. And maybe that kind of hinted at that style becoming the more prominent way of just playing the game in general, right? Fnatic, obviously one of the best teams right now.
Yeah.
TSM dropped a very strict IGL for something a little bit more loose, who could also frag in Kerrigan, and they're performing really well. So what can you do for a team like that plays that loose in terms of helping them improve? I mean, you're playing with very experienced players too as well, right? Is that a challenge?
Yeah, it's a challenge in a way. I mean, there's been things that, like, things you wouldn't expect to be thinking about that you have to, that you have to touch on, such as, like before, they could do so much things with just pure skill. They would just run into a bomb site and they could just destroy everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But now there needs to be more structure in the way that you enter bomb sites, what you do on certain rounds. Like, people are so good with low buys and stuff like that. So there's a lot of small minor things that have a high impact that you need to put a lot of effort and time into. So those are the type of things that I've put and spent most of my time on, is to when and what we do on certain situations, how we do it.
Okay.
I will not touch whatever the individuals do.
Yeah.
They're going to play. They have a lot of skill. So I mean, just gotta trust in their abilities. At the end of the day, it's going to be them doing the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just going to be there to guide. And also, there's a lot of psychological things, mentality stuff, just things that people probably don't understand, which are very, very important. There's been situations where people have just plain underperformed because, I mean, the team hasn't been winning tournaments, so that's going to caught up with them. It's sort of caught up with them in a way, and you can just, in certain situations, you can just see that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
We mentioned before teams, not just NiP, but just teams in general. They play with the same style for a very long time, and it gets stale. And you have to find a way to keep that fresh. And one of the very popular new ways of doing that is by switching up IGLs. Pretty much everybody on NiP except for Forest has called at some point, if I recall correctly. Mm-hmm. Do you have any influence on that decision?
Yeah, of course I have my say. I mean, it's always going to be, I'm going to be one of the 6 making decisions. So it's a team decision. I give an advice. I put my input in there. If I would think that something's totally silly, stupid, I would obviously give my opinion and say
What's an example of that?
I don't know, a strategy of some kind, like a thought of doing something. If I find it's just out of like stupid, then I will let them try it in practice, for example. And then if it's just totally off, I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, it's just not working. It's just too complex, or it's just not gonna work.
So what would you say, I guess if you have some of the better insight, pretty much of anyone in the world, probably the best on NIP strengths and weaknesses. If you could give like one strength and one weakness of NIP, what would you put that to, at least currently?
I would guess it is basically it's one thing that is both. It is when players are on the top of their like how they read situations, how they react to things. It is magical. There's things that happen, like snapping fingers. But at the same time, when people are not in their comfort zone, it looks horrible. And I think we've seen a lot of both end of that. Like Gfinity, the final was just horrible. People were just not playing the way they were supposed to, and it just came down. A lot of it came down to situations where people need to commit to something, but they're not. They're just half committing, and it just doesn't work that way. So I think it's fair to say that's both the best part of it, and also can be the worst part of it.
So moving forward, how do you think the position of coaching is going to evolve? Do you think that coaches are going to have ways to become more proactive? I know at DreamHack, for example, with Hellraisers, we had, I think it was Blade, who actually was the sixth man outside of the team, calling every strat and being really proactive in that regard. Now, there are teams that have perfectly good callers that don't need that. But maybe in those situations where you see your team is just not playing as they would normally play, do you call a pause? Do you come to the comms?
Yeah, that's exactly what I do. Is when I see things, tendencies, things that don't work or whatever, if I see something that we should change, I call timeouts. I give advice in the situations. It's a lot of communicating with Exist actually. Before matches, during matches, and I call things as the game go on. Like I don't specifically call any strategies, but I call whatever things I see, or if I see certain things, like let's say there's 3 of them live, we spot 2 somewhere, I'm gonna make sure everyone understands and recognizes there's only gonna be one of the sides or whatever, so they react accordingly. Information that can be sometimes missed by a player. So it's I don't like my issue with coaching and in-game leading is the fact that I believe in-game sounds is a very big part of how you react to things.
Sure.
That's one of the bigger factors. So that's my one issue. I could try it, but that's one grudge problem I have against.
You can't spec all 5 players.
Yeah, when I'm home, obviously it would be different when I can be on the server and watch. But when I'm not actually in the server hearing things and so forth, I think that's a bit of an issue.
Okay. So in the future for you, I guess how did you get into call, or how did you get into the idea to be a coach, or were you offered that opportunity, and how long do you want to be doing it for? What do you want to do after?
Well, it all started in Katowice actually. There was certain talks, and I'd been thinking about stopping playing because of I'm 30 now. I have a family of my own. I have to think about how I spend my time. It needs to be productive when it comes to money. It's as unfortunate as that is. It's only very top of the scene that really makes a proper living out of playing. So they sort of they were giving me hints that that there could be a position. So then a month later or so, we started talking. I already told my team that there's a possibility that this could happen, 30 max. So they were prepared for me possibly quitting. It's something people have been throwing at me before, that I should try it when I'm done playing. I've been wondering about staying in esports because I've been involved for 15 years, so it would be stupid not to be when it's in a huge climb right now. So it was basically either, go coaching and then or do some casting, analyzing, stuff like that, stay intact with the community and the whole esports thing.
Yeah.
How long am I going to do it? I don't know, really, to be honest with you. Right now, I enjoy it. The team likes me. I like the team.
Right.
We have a good chemistry. I think we've gotten along really great. They listen to me. The whole idea of having a coach came from them, so there's no like respect issues or things like, I don't know what I'm talking about or whatever. Like everyone's gonna always listen to me, and we have a mutual agreement that whatever I say, it's never going to be personal. I can, say whatever to any one of them, and it's only going to be professional. Like, just in a matter of making them play better. So, I'm in a good place. I don't mind. Like, I don't have any complaints. So I'll do it as long as I feel like it's productive and it's fun, and I have good people around me. I think that's the main thing. And whatever happens in the future happens. But we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of older players have are kind of grasping at straws to get an interview to try and stay in the scene now that it is where it is, right? It's such a big place now, and I'm glad to see you got a position as a coach. I'm a big fan of you in podcasts, and I always thought of you as very reasonable. I think you're a very good fit as a coach, so I'm glad you had that opportunity, and thanks for the interview.
Cheers. All right, cool.